Our US Open coverage is brought to you by Fungiball.
Fungiball is a play-to-earn fantasy tennis game that seamlessly combines the thrill of professional tennis with the transformative power of blockchain technology.
Allowing tennis fans to collect, trade, and compete with digital cards representing professional tennis players.
Each card is unique, adding a layer of excitement and interaction for both fans and players.
Fungible users have the opportunity to craft unique game avatars to enhance their avatar's proficiency. Users can engage in weekly online tournaments, mirroring the professional tennis schedule.
They can also utilize the Fungiball marketplace to collect and trade digital cards, featuring their preferred men's and women's players.
Fungiball already has 250 tennis players and counting that are officially licensed on the platform through their collaboration with the Professional Tennis Players Association, including
Alexander Zverev,
Jessica Pegula,
Felix Auger-Aliassime,
and a mystery top five tennis player is joining the platform this US Open, with more players to be announced each week.
as the on-court performances and results of real-life players fluctuate throughout the tour season, the skills, ratings, value, and rarity of their corresponding fungible NFTs also shift.
So, what are you waiting for? Join the revolution in tennis gaming. Go to www.fungible.io to sign up now. The link is in the description.
Cryptocurrencies and NFTs are unregulated in some markets, including the UK. NFT profits may be subject to taxation, such as capital gains tax. The value of investments is variable and can go up as well as down. Additional fees may apply.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris. On today's US Open Round 2 catch-up, brought to you by Fungiball.
Wimbledon champ Krejickova gets dumped out.
Rublev battles back from 2 sets down.
And Frances Tiafoe sets up a scintillating all-American clash with Ben Shelton.
Kim, today is the 29th of August, and we are here to catch up on round 2 of the US Open at Tennis Weekly HQ, rolling on through the first week at Flushing Meadows. And it's been another couple of days of high octane, hot action in New York City, with a few shocks along the way. Wimbledon ladies champion Barbora Krejickova is out. Elena Rybakina has just withdrawn from the competition. Breaking news. Andrei Rublev battled back from the brink as well in 5 sets. And we've already got a few tasty round 3 matchups to look forward to in Tiafoe Shelton, Djokovic Popperin. Kim, the fight, I feel, for the Friday evening session on Ash it's on.
I mean, surely they've got to go all American, late
You'd
night,
think so.
under the lights, all American
You
clash.
putting Djokovic in the day session?
I am. There's got to be a token day session for
Yeah.
him, hasn't
It's
there?
like the token number 1 court assignment that I feel like is now bestowed on Carlos Alcaraz at some point during the first week at SW19.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I can see where the schedulers are going to go with that one, but they may well surprise us. It might depend what the
Yeah.
players prefer. Um, but we did well. I mean, we've got a fantastic night session a bit later on. We're recording this kind of before the night session has
Mm.
begun of the second round, but I'm very much looking forward to Naomi Osaka, Karolina Pliskova, especially the outfit being on show again. I want to see the
Oh,
night session
are you
version
going
of
to be
it.
talking about Bose again? Because I listened.
Bosaka,
Bosaka,
Bosaka.
Bosaka? No, Bosaka.
It's like
Bo
Boudicca,
yeah.
Boudica.
I
And
did
no one knows how
enjoy
to say it.
I did enjoy listening to you and Chris talk about the bow outfit and trying to fit in as many bow puns as possible. However, I've already messaged Chris on WhatsApp. I think you saw this. He's going into Tennis Weekly jail for some of the puns that he has bestowed on us on the group. Yeah, with the bow chat, the bow chat,
Or
the bow chat.
he's bestowed them on the group.
Okay, you're okay,
That's
right.
even worse, isn't
You're
it?
in Tennis Weekly jail
A lot
now.
of
Life
dad
imprisonment.
dad jokes. Oh dear. Well, we do have lots of unfashion related things to get into today. And actually, this is a round 2 catch up, but we really do have to talk about something that happened after Chris and I stopped
Mm.
recording on Tuesday, which was that absolutely epic Dan Evans encounter with Karen Khachanov, the longest match in US Open history. Dan Evans, the match of his life, coming back to win a 4-love down in that 5th set. coming back to win 6-4. 5
Unbelievable.
hours and 34 minutes. I could not believe my eyes, Joel.
I think it was 5
insane.
hours 35 minutes. I think it was
Oh, have I denied them an extra
I think you've
minute?
denied them an extra minute, but yeah, incredible to break all records, and to think, Dan Evans' season has not been, it's not been good. That's putting it politely. I think, I would almost describe it as shocking. He's 4-17, won 4, lost 17 on the tour this season. I feel like his highlight would have been, playing doubles with Andy Murray at the Olympics. And when I saw him 4-love down in that fifth set, I just thought it was going to be another case of putting up a really good fight, but not ultimately able to get it over the line. So to see him roar back and take that fifth set was incredible, but it was also very surprising, I think, given, as I say, the form that he has shown over the season. I thought his confidence would be low, and he wasn't. I was amazed, and I was impressed with how much fight left he had to give after such a long period of time.
I don't think I've ever seen him play so well in those final stages. It was just remarkable, and I'm so pleased for him. And I do wonder if having that experience at the Olympics with Andy Murray has that, I don't know, fired something up for him. Yeah, I definitely think so. And this is a very Andy Murray style kind of win, isn't it? And match, that really gritty, never giving up attitude.
Yep.
And Andy Murray's no longer on the tour, but maybe Dan Evans is going to bring that, what we're missing in spades. So let's see how he gets on though later. He's up against Mariano Navone.
Will he have energy?
Will there be anything left in the tank from Dan Evans? I'm not so sure.
It's going to be tough, but I mean, in terms of the records, it is truly impressive stuff. The previous record, and this is a bit of a throwback, Stefan Edberg and Michael Chang, 1992 semi-final at the US Open, 5 hours and 26 minutes. I think Sinner and Alcaraz as well, in their humdinger from a couple of years ago, also quite close by. But yeah, an incredible record and a piece of history for Dan Evans. I guess the question is, how long will it last?
How long will the record last?
Yeah.
You mean? Yeah. I mean, 1992 to 2024. That's quite a while, really, isn't it? And I mean, even at the other slams, we had the 2012 final in AO, but Roland Garros, the record's going back 20 years. So yeah, we'll see. But Dan Evans, he's in the history books, which I'm sure he'll be pleased about.
I do enjoy, just before we move on, I do enjoy the fact that we all know John Isner, Nicola Mahut at Wimbledon. That was 11 hours, 5 minutes. So to think Dan Evans and Karen Khachanov, they could have played that match and then played it again, back to back, and it probably would have just about finished at the same time as Mahut Isner. So still a way to go.
Well, one player who doesn't have much further to go because she's out, sadly, is Emma Raducanu. And this was again another result from kind of late on Tuesday in the first round. She did lose to Sofia Kenin in 3 sets in the opener, which, yeah, really disappointing for Raducanu. She wasn't particularly happy afterwards, as I'm sure you can understand, and sort of blaming it mostly, I think, on the fact that she didn't play enough matches coming into the tournament, so needed to manage her schedule better in future. Joel, I think you might have called this this kind of lack of match practice.
I was just so confused when, as I say, the story going into the Olympics was, I'm not playing the Olympics because I want to get my ranking up and play tournaments where there are ranking points available. So from that point of view, I was sort of expecting her to play a full lead up to, the US Open. And yes, she did play Winston-Salem. But I was sort of like expecting her to kick on from there and play Cincinnati and Canada. And that didn't happen. Only one tournament in the build-up. Obviously, I'm not part of her team. I don't know if there are any other mitigating circumstances going on. But yeah, I think, she's at least acknowledged that it's a lesson there to learn. But I think the lack of match practice here just sort of did her in, I think, because she looked a little rusty. And it's funny, I think, that we're talking about this for a player who didn't play the Olympics. I think it would be more understandable if, someone had played the Olympics and maybe they were feeling a little bit jaded or a little bit knackered and as a result, their schedule in the lead up to US Open was compromised. But the fact that she didn't play the Olympics makes me feel like brutally put, I don't actually feel like there's any excuses here.
No, I agree. I think that was a wasted opportunity not
Mm,
playing either of, Cincinnati or the Canadian Open. And I don't know if there was something to do with like managing her physicality. Obviously she's got history of injury, so I don't know if
yeah.
that's one of the reasons why she's being kind of very stringent with her schedule. However, it's just a shame because obviously this was the site of her triumph 3 years ago. She hasn't actually managed to win a match on these courts since. So, and obviously Sophia Kenin is a tough first round opponent. She is a Grand Slam champion as well. And I mean, Kenin's in the middle of her match with Jessica Pegula at the moment. She's just lost that first set to Pegula. So another tasty encounter going on there. But yeah, a bit of a shame for Emma Raducanu. But
I mean,
Dan Evans was highlight of Tuesday. That's made up
why
for her.
don't you think Raducanu chose to play Cincinnati or in Canada?
Well, I don't know if she's been entirely honest with the reason. Like you said, we don't know about the mitigating circumstances, but it could be physical concern or not wanting to, if there's fitness and injury issues. That to me would be like the most obvious reason, because surely you'd play at least one of the two
Yeah.
to get those high level matches.
I have a
Especially when
theory. I have a theory, and this is again, it could be completely wrong.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if there's a sort of, I don't know, like I want to say like, is only going to play tournaments where it matters, maybe from like I don't know, like a business point of view. And, when your, I guess, ranking is low and, you're not, I don't know, maybe you're looking for an appearance fee or something like that. And maybe if it wasn't there as a result, you kind of be a bit more selective around your tournaments. And again, I don't know if there's any sort of way to look at it from like a business point of view, but I think she should be looking at it from like a play, form, momentum point of view, because she was playing well in Winston-Salem, and I feel like she maybe thought, right, that's it, I'm done. Let's go to the US Open and hopefully I can make a deep run. But I don't think it just comes as, it's just not that easy on the tour. The competition and then the levels are deep. So yeah, lesson to be learned for the future.
Absolutely. And let's have a look at other action from, going into the second round now and what we've seen so far. I guess big news coming out of yesterday. Barbora Krejickova, Wimbledon champion, she is out. She lost to Elena-Gabriela Ruse of Romania. She's a qualifier. It was straight sets. So Krejcikova not able to kind of continue her run of good form at the Grand Slams following her Wimbledon victory. Yeah, out in the second round, kind of going back to, I guess, where she was at the start of the year, where she really wasn't kind of having those results.
She's
so
streaky.
Very up and down, very streaky player.
She's one of the most I think like streaky but capable of winning a Grand Slam at the same time players that there are a few of those, but certainly I think with Krejcikova, I mean, I watched some of her first round match and that first set looked very, very rusty. I've been reading, this was her first hardcore tournament since March.
March, yeah.
So that might have something to do with it. But also, I think you've got to give credit to Ruse, because she played a fantastic match. She's come through qualifying. She's been, match fit and ready to go. And I just surprisingly felt like she was the more aggressive player on the court.
Yeah, she was, and she played really well, so all credit to her. And she's into the third round of a slam for the first time ever in her career. It's only her second win over a top 10 player. So I think, full credit to Ruse. Krejcikova not at the races, but yeah, it wasn't particularly surprising because we know that Krejcikova is streaky, and I don't think any of us were really discussing her like when she won Wimbledon in kind of a new, this is going to be her era of domination. We never had those conversations. So, and rightly so, because, I feel like she'll pop up again in a few years and win another slam, maybe.
I mean, why is it so hard to keep up, do you think, momentum from being a champion and, say, Grand Slam champion, and not that long ago, given the schedule, to then go to the next one and go from, as I say, champ to going out in round two?
I mean, yeah, we've had a good 6 weeks, 5, 6 weeks since Wimbledon, but I know Krejcikova did say after winning Wimbledon, she did have a lot of, obligations in the media, like interviews, and that did drain quite a lot of her energy. So I think that's
Lego
probably,
practice.
yeah, obviously she's got it. Well, hopefully the Lego balances out all those kind of draining experiences. But maybe she spent a bit too much time on the Lego and not on the court. I don't know. Maybe the Arthur Ashe Stadium Lego set is gonna have to wait another year before that's made. But yeah, Krejcikova is out. We'll see how Ruse gets on throughout the tournament to see if she can capitalize even further on this. And I guess another big sort of outcome from the second round matches is, as we alluded to earlier, Ben Shelton, Francis Tiafoe, their rematch is set. So the All-American clash is set. That they both came through their second round matches pretty comfortably, straight sets over Bautista Agut for Ben Shelton in straight sets, and then Shevchenko for Tiafoe. Shevchenko actually retiring in the third set. But yeah, we have a rematch, Joel. Last year it was Shelton coming through in that quarterfinal to reach the semi-finals of a slam for the first time. Who do you think, based on what we've seen from both of them so far this tournament, who do you think is going to get that upper edge come Friday? Well, Friday. It's tomorrow, Friday night, hopefully.
It's going to be in my head at the moment. I think it's going to be a humdinger if it is given that Friday night spot, because both these players just feed off the energy of the crowd, and as you can imagine, all American crowd, New York City, Friday night. That is going to be one buzzed environment, I think, and it might come down to who handles, maybe their energy and the crowd the best, in their favor. I certainly feel, to me at the moment, that Francis Tiafoe is riding a good wave of momentum. Shelton has played good tennis this tournament, but I feel like Tiafoe has a bit more of the momentum in the build up, and I'm going to give Tiafoe the slight edge to get revenge, I think. I mean, they both love playing in New York City, and I think we could be in for a classic, I think.
Will Ben Shelton put the phone down, do you think, again?
Oh, that's a good question.
At the end of the match?
Big question. I think there is possibility that will happen, because, there's just, as I say, it's going to be a packed out arena. I think if people are going to be expecting it, yeah, I'm going to say that the hands. I'm going to do it now. The phone gesture.
It's coming out.
He's going to hang up the phone. Hang up the phone a second time.
We are doing this on video, so if any listeners want to see us doing lame phone gestures, then you can check us out on YouTube. Hang up the phone.
Or maybe Tiafoe. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Tiafoe. Is Tiafoe going to hang up the phone?
Tiafoe? No, but that's going down the realm of bad dad joke puns. So
Kim, you were already in Tennis Weekly jail for the Bow chat for life imprisonment, and I'm gonna have to even think of I might have to bring that forward, given how terrible that was. But yes, Tiafoe. Wow.
Keep them coming. Listeners, if you've got any others, let us know. Any bad puns. What else happened though already in round two? We've had Casper Ruud beating Gaël Monfils. He's actually doing all right, Casper Ruud, so far. And there was a nice little exchange, I think, between him and Andy Murray after the match, Joel. Yes. Did you enjoy Andy Murray kind of making an appearance somehow?
He's just now living kind of virtually. He's now living vicariously, I think, through players, because yes, listeners, if you do go onto social media, there's a nice exchange between Ruud and Murray, because Ruud had an epic point against Monfils, and he said afterwards it was a tribute point to Andy Murray. And Murray, in his own classic Scottish behaviour and his humour, said, "Love to see it. What a point. Word of warning, though, keep doing that for a few more years and you'll end up with hips like me." Robot knee emoji, robot arm emoji. So yes, I think actually, although we're talking about this from the humorous side, I'd also say take that from a guy who's lived it from a little bit more of a serious point of view.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, Casper Ruud getting the job done against Gaël Monfils in 4 sets. So yeah, really good. I mean, obviously he's the finalist from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So can he go deep
Looking good.
again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sasha Zverev also through in straights. Taylor Fritz getting the better of Berrettini as well. So that's one of our collector set player picks out in the second round. And then, yeah, we've got Azarenka, Sabalenka, Badosa all getting straight sets wins, as well as Coco Gauff in the second round. And Qin Zheng coming through in 3 sets as well. Let's have a look as well at what's also happened. We've had Andrei Rublev coming back from 2 sets down, so slightly less straightforward win than some of his peers. He actually led a host of 5-set kind of wins. We had Lorenzo Musetti, Yuri Lehechka, Thomas Martin Etcheverry also going the distance. Let's look at Andrei Rublev, though. 2 sets down, he found himself to Artur Rinderknech, and took him just over 4 hours to kind of come back and get through that one. It's the second time in his career he's come back from 2 sets to love down. Yeah, what did you make of Rublev in this particular encounter, Joel?
I mean, you can't question, I think, the guy's dedication, his heart and his fight. Similar to the Dan Evans, really. I think we already know he's such a committed player on the court, regardless of the situation that he finds in. He's just not gonna cash in at any moment. And regardless, I think, of what goes on in his head and being able to control his emotions, which I know, again, feel like a broken record. And again, it was all to show in that match, particularly in that second set where he just sort of self-destructed. And I thought this is going to go away from him very quickly. But he can just flick a switch also. And I think that's why he's so dangerous, because you sometimes, I feel like, just don't know what's coming with Rublev. You can see the red mist and you think he's going to self-destruct, but then he can just kind of, as I say, kind of come through in 3 very relatively easy sets. And it was a match that, yeah, it turned into kind of a tale of, of 2 halves. And he's just probably thankful that, the best of 5-set format exists at Grand Slams, because he would have been out otherwise.
Yeah, very two different stories completely after that second set. But, he came back and had the right attitude in the end, because we know that sometimes he really doesn't. But yeah, the first time he came back from 2 sets down, 2020 Roland Garros against Sam Querrey.
Wow.
So that's a bit of feels quite old school now, doesn't it? Thinking about that. Another player though who had quite a disappointing day at the office, especially for British fans, was Harriet Dart. She lost in straight sets, but had so many opportunities in her first set against Marta Kostyuk. She led by a break 3 times in that set, had 5 set points in the tie break, and then fell 7-6, 6-1. Obviously, Kostyuk, she's the 19th seed. So Dart doing super well, against a player of her kind of ranking and caliber, being higher ranked than Harriet. But yeah, it's just very frustrating when she has these opportunities and isn't able to capitalize on them. And then really just, coming through that second set, it just ran away from her.
I think I'm actually more disappointed, I think, in terms of the response. I can look at that first set and say, she had all these set points. She led by a break 3 times and she should have got it done. But I think you look at the second set more, and I think there's more to learn from that. And I think with Dart, I still have a question with her over her kind of, say, ability to just show that heart and desire and to sort of hang tough in the most difficult of conditions. And I get that this was it's a day match, hot, brutal conditions, and you're fighting your opponent as much as you're fighting the conditions on the court. But yeah, I feel like if I was, in Dart's team, I'd be looking at this and thinking there's more to be done, I think, in terms of how she reacts, how she responds, particularly putting situations where she probably would have felt that she should have won that first set, putting that behind her and getting on with the job at hand, because it just went away from her and unraveled so quickly after what was looking like a very promising start.
Yeah, and it reminded me of that match she played at Wimbledon. Was it the 3rd round match or the 3rd round match? And she had all those opportunities and it came ever so close, and she just wasn't, and I feel like, although
she needs to be more clinical. Ruthless.
Yeah, she just doesn't quite grab those moments when it really matters. And obviously that's what it's all about. However, though, silver lining, she will now move up to a career high ranking, which will be in the top 70. So that's a real positive after putting some of those results together, both here and, earlier in the year. So, that is good news for Harriet Dart, even though she did very much squander that first set, sadly. And also today, Katie Boulter is out to Jessica Buses-Monero in straight sets. Any thoughts on that one, Joel? I know that Jessica Buses-Monero from Spain isn't perhaps the most famous of players, but she is the player that beat Vondrousova at Wimbledon in the first round and got to the third round of Wimbledon. So she's into another third round now.
Yeah, I think if you're Katie Boulter, again, you're leaving New York, I think, disappointed. She admitted that her preparation for this tournament because of Paris, wasn't the best. But I still think regardless of that, you got to put that behind you and give a good account of yourself. And in this match, I think ultimately she just took too long to get going. Although she tried to make a battle of it in that second set, and you sort of felt like you wondered if the tide was going to be turning and whether she could force it to go to a decider. But ultimately just wasn't able to sort of ask that question. And I do think though she at least showed, as I say, that response after going down a set and a break to kind of come back and keep fighting. And that for me is what I feel like is missing maybe from Harriet Dart a little bit more, is that, as I say, that tenacity and that sort of stickability, I want to say, of sort of keeping in touch with your opponent as opposed to just sort of them letting them get away from you.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but perhaps not massively surprising for British fans. Let's take a quick break now, but do join us in the second half where we'll be looking at all the action so far from day 4 at the US Open. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast and our US Open Round 2 catch up brought to you by Fungiball. We do have some, I guess, history, Joel, that's been made so far this round. And that is for a certain Mr. Novak Djokovic, who with his win in the second round over his countryman Laslo Djere now has 90 or more wins at each of the 4 Grand Slams. So his win yesterday was the 90th match win of his career at the US Open. And that now goes along with the 94 he's had at the Australian Open, the 96 at Roland Garros, and the 97 he's had at Wimbledon. Wow. I mean, I guess within the year or so, he could get to 100 across all 4 of those slams, all being well.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe a stretch for the US Open next year.
Well, yes.
But certainly, I could see the next goal would be 100 match wins at all the Grand Slams, and I would not put it past him. And that would, I think, be a pretty cool record to own. And I don't actually see any barriers to that happening. He's not that far away. All the events, and who knows, Kim? Arguably, he could be closer than he is if things had not gone against him in the past.
Well, he's had a lot of slams. Well, I say a lot of slams. There were a couple over a sort of couple of year period that he missed. That Australian Open where he was deported, the US Open where he couldn't play because of the vaccination rules, and then other incidents such as the line judge
the default,
incident, the default. He certainly could have had more, and I think that might explain why his Australian Open number is lower actually than his Roland Garros number of wins, because he's won the Australian Open 10 times, whereas Roland Garros, he's got 3 titles there, but more match wins. And I think it's probably because he's played Roland Garros more, and I guess he missed one, and I think he did have an early upset one year when his elbow wasn't quite healthy. But it is crazy to think he can get to 100 across all 4.
Do you think he can get to 100?
I think so. Yeah, I think so, unless barring, significant injury or another freak event happening, I suppose. I think it's very doable. I think he's going to be on the tour for a good few years still to come. So it's scary, actually, I think, what numbers he could get to on some of these records. I think obviously he's going to be going for total title, top numbers as well. That's still a record he doesn't have. So this is probably another little record he thinks, I can do that why not? I'm the man of records. But yeah, he already is the first player to have got this 90 or more wins.
I mean, just getting that number of victories in your career at a Grand Slam, I think, is impressive enough. I would probably be quite happy with that. But yeah, to do it at each of the four, and I think it also shows his application to all the court surfaces, that he's such a good tennis player that he can apply his game to, as I say, hard court, clay court, grass court, whatever the type of court surface it is. It's broadly across the the range, and you can't say the same about someone like Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal, because Nadal's record at Wimbledon, the number of victories there, I'm assuming is going to be lower, or the top end and the bottom end are going to be a lot further away from each other than Djokovic, which feels a lot flatter.
Yeah, it's a lot more evened out with Djokovic. And yeah, with Rafa, obviously at Wimbledon, he's had a couple of early losses, many years where he hasn't played because of, injury and just not being ready. So yeah, it's testament to Djokovic's consistency year after year, his longevity, his fitness, his versatility. And yeah, yet another remarkable statistic for, arguably the greatest of all time. So yeah, well done, Novak Djokovic. He does face Alexei Popyrin in the next round. So he'll be hopefully going for 91 wins at the US Open. Do you think Popyrin can stop him getting to 91, Joel? Is there any hope for Aussie fans?
I think Popyrin will provide him a stern test. He's provided him a stern test already this season. I still think Djokovic will come away with the victory. But they both seem to be in good form, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be as straightforward as maybe some might think for a round 3 matchup in the first week. I think it definitely could pose a few problems from Popyrin, but I still expect Djokovic to get the job done.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll be very much surprised that if he doesn't. But let's have a look at other action that's happened today. And we do have some top seeds that are out, one of which is Hubert Hurkacz. He lost to Jordan Thompson in 3 straight sets. So a big win for Jordan Thompson. Hubert Hurkacz being the seventh seed, world number 7. But yeah, 7-6, 6-1, 7-5 for Jordan Thompson. So, Aussie hopes kind of doing all right with Popyrin being in the third round already.
We're not really talking about de Minaur.
He's on court at the moment, de Minaur, as we're recording this. I think it was in the first set earlier on. So I'm not entirely sure without looking at our scoreboard. Yeah, he's 2 sets up now. So that's
here we
quick.
go.
So it looks all right for Aussie. Aussie's doing well.
Aussie's having a good run of it. I mean, with Thompson as well, he's had a fantastic season this season, and he is so close. I think he went into the US Open 1 spot out of being seeded, and another deep run here. I think he has Arnaldi in the next round. The draw has opened up, and I think he should be pushing for he should be being seeded at Grand Slams in the future, because he's a very decent player. Watched him at Queen's. Similar to others in terms of he's just very equal, I think, on any court you put him on. And for Hurkacz, I think he's been injured recently, and he had that surgery, and I wonder if he kind of came back too soon to come to play the final Grand Slam of the year, and whether it maybe would have made more sense to wait a little bit longer, because going down in straights to Thompson is not how he would have seen his time in New York City going.
No, Jordan Thompson, a bit of a late bloomer, I think, age 30, and, just almost being seeded for the first time at a slam. It's kind of unusual when it's sort of that age in your career that's happening. But a player who's a bit younger, Seb Korda, who, is still very, very young in his career, but I would have hoped to have gone better here. Is the number 16 seed, but did go out to Thomas Mašák of Czech Republic. Straight sets again, 6-4, 6-3, 6-4. Although Korda was up in 2 of those sets, I think 4-1, and lost them, 6-4. So Korda kind of not maybe fully healthy, a bit of an elbow injury, I think, as well. It looked like he was suffering with. But it's opened up the draw for Carlos Alcaraz, I think, in this section, hasn't it, Joel?
Yeah, I mean it's looking good for Alcaraz with Korda and Hurkacz out. Jack Draper's still in there. He's on court at the moment, I think. But yeah, certainly looking good for Alcaraz with seeds falling around him. It's just so frustrating, I think, with Seb Korda because he also had a good, I think, run up to the US Open. From the action I saw anyway. From his tournaments before New York, it just doesn't. We're still in that sort of phase of like, when is it going to, or is it going to happen for him? Because I feel like we've been in this limbo with him for so long. And although we know, I think he's a quality player, there's always, I think, doubts around his movement. And, for a tall guy such as him, I think it gets exploited by his competitors on the tour too much. And he needs to be able to cover the court a bit better. I think another American like Taylor Fritz does. Yeah, a bit better. But yeah, for Korda, it's just same old story, I think.
Yeah, and you sort of think it was a matter of when, but now it's kind of if. And it's a shame, there's 5 American men ranked in the top 20. He's one of them. They're obviously really hoping they can get a home winner for the first time since Andy Roddick won in 2003. But yeah, it's not going to be Korda this year. And I'm starting to question, if it will ever happen. And, I think there were conversations back in the day when he first burst onto the scene. Oh, yeah, he's going to be this, great prospect. And, he's got some sisters who play a bit of golf. But now it's very much like, his sister Nelly is like the world #1 female golfer. And he's just, the brother of.
Do you think
it's like it's the other way around now?
Do you think he's perennially going to be kind of around like the 10 to 20 category? Do you think he's got the ability to break into the top 10?
I think so, for sure. But I think he's quite vulnerable to injuries. He seems to have struggled quite a bit with injury, which I don't think has meant he's been able to really consistently put a run of form together. But yeah, it's like he has a really, few good weeks. We start to bring him into the conversation again, and then he has an early exit, and you think, oh, okay.
And then repeat.
Yeah, and so it just, I don't know, his star's waning, and I'm no longer predicting him like I was a few years ago.
Okay.
So, well, that's it. But one player as well, sad news, talking of injury and such, like, we don't actually have the full explanation for this, but Elena Rybakina has withdrawn from the US Open. So she has withdrawn ahead of her match with Jessica Ponche of France. So Ponche will go through to the 3rd round, of course. But maybe, again, this isn't necessarily the most surprising news, Joel, because it's not the first time Rybakina has had to withdraw once a tournament's got underway, especially at a Grand Slam. We know that she suffers with some kind of chronic illness or something along those lines, which she seems to have to manage. So I'm presuming it could be something connected with that.
Yeah, I mean, I've just actually Googled Rybakina, and there has been a statement put out by her, and she said, "Unfortunately, I have to withdraw from my match today due to my injuries. I did not want to finish the last Grand Slam of the year this way, but I have to listen to my body, and I hope I can close out the remainder of the year strong. Thank you to all the fans who have and continue to support me, and I wish the remaining players good luck." Yes, so not an ideal way to finish the Grand Slam year for Rybakina, because she's such a threat when she is kind of fully fit. But I feel like this season, maybe too many times we've spoken about, her body conking out on her, and given how brutal the schedule has been this season, the longer it goes on, the more you think about who are the most vulnerable players, to this. And you're probably in the kind of the top tier of players. Rybakina is like one of those at the top of the list.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't really have that much confidence. Yeah, we're talking about like predictions, who's going to go deep. You sort of think,
we're scared to put her in collector set because we think she's just going to withdraw at any moment.
Basically, yeah. So you're never going to see her name on collector set anymore, sadly. But no, I mean, I'm sure at some point we will. And I do wish her all the best, because she has had a bit of a bad luck of the draw with things with injury and illness. So we wish her well and hope she can recover as soon as. I mean, it's not been a great day for some players because talking of retirements and
Pliskova.
injuries, Pliskova, I mean, she actually did make it onto the court, but she retired after 3 points against Jasmine Paolini. This could have been quite a good close match.
I was looking forward to this, and I think she rolled her ankle in warm up, tried to give it a go during the match, but just said after 3 points again, listen to her body and was like, nope. This is not the day for me. So yeah, really unfortunate for her and for fans, I think, against Paolini, because I was excited to look at that matchup.
Yeah, same. I saw on the live scores app 6 minutes match time. I thought, what on earth happened there?
Is that a total match time for a Bernard Tomic match?
Yeah. Well, and how many Pliskova versus Paolini's can you fit into Dan Evans against Karen Khachanov? I can't work the maths out that quickly, but that could be a good GCSE maths question.
Kim, the first set of Iga Swiatek against Shibahara, I mean, it wasn't 6 minutes, but it was still pretty lightning quick, wasn't it? I mean, that match in general.
The Polish bakery, Iga's bakery, was very much
Love
underway.
And won.
Yes, I mean, it's Shibahara, very much known more for the doubles court, and I think had that win over Saville 2 days ago, which was a lot more games than what she got today. But yes, Iga Swiatek doing the business earlier on today. Jack Draper's actually doing the business for British tennis right now. He's 2 sets up over Diaz Acosta, so that's boding well, considering. Yeah, the British women haven't had the best of fortunes lately. We'll see what Dan Evans can do later. Let's have a look actually at what is happening this evening, because we are recording this prior to the night session happening. As mentioned earlier, we do have Osaka against Muchova on Arthur Ashe. And that's followed by Alcaraz against Botic van der Zandschulp. And then on Louis Armstrong, we have Fabian Marochan against Daniil Medvedev.
Medvedev.
Well, he does go a bit mad sometimes, doesn't he? And then we've got Caroline Wozniacki against Zarazua. And Wozniacki had a really convincing win in her first round, Joel. I think she only, dropped 1 game. So let's see if she can continue that against Zarazua.
Do you think Muchova could upset Osaka? Who goes into that? Is that a 50-50 matchup?
Yeah, I think Osaka's going to have the edge. I think just on how she played in round 1, I'm going Osaka for the edge. But I do think it could be a 3-setter. We'll see if the outfit makes a difference. No, I don't. That sounds like I'm trivializing it, but I genuinely think Naomi is loving the outfit. And I think even something like frivolous like that can, create positive energy. Do you think Alcaraz is going to win comfortably, or do you think Van der Zandschulp might pose any?
I think so, and I think a lot of people want to see Alcaraz Draper in round 3. I think that would be a marquee matchup, but I don't see any issues there. I mean, Jannik Sinner had a much more comfortable ride of it today as well. He's come through in straight sets. Now, Kim, I don't want to alarm you, but the schedule for tomorrow has come in, and I know we have been excited about the prospect of Tiafoe Shelton being put in the night session.
Is that not happening? Is it a day session?
Djokovic has been put into the night session.
Oh,
here we go. I'm putting up on my phone.
I'm very surprised about that. I wonder if that's a personal request from the players.
Yeah,
I don't know. Interesting. That's very interesting actually.
And you've got Svitolina Gauff opening on Ashe as well. That could be quite interesting. Do you see Gauff? Gauff defending champion. Any issues with Svitolina? I'm a little bit surprised that's opening on Ashe probably in front of about 5 people, because that's going to be I think that could be quite a tasty matchup.
That could have been a nice night session. Which again,
Louis Armstrong. Let's give me Louis Armstrong, token Louis Armstrong, Coco Gauff match vibes maybe.
Oh, I don't know. I think Svitolina, I think that deserves Arthur Ashe. But I do think maybe Coco wanted it an earlier match, perhaps. I don't know how much of this is player preference. I think that's a really tasty encounter. I think Gauff will come through, but I think Svitolina will make her, play well. I don't think she's I think she we know how good Svitolina is, what a solid player she is. So she's not making it easy for anyone on any match day.
And we also have Sabalenka Alexandrova in the night session on Ash to round it off. Ruse Badosa on Louis Armstrong, Navarro, Kostuk, Komisana, Fritz, Keys, Mertens. That feels like a perennial round 3.
It's quite old school, isn't it?
Perennial round 3 match. Nice to see Elise Mertens in round 3. I love, that's her home. Echeverry, Zverev, and then on grandstand we've got Zheng, Niemeyer, Azarenka, Wong, Rublev, Lehechka, and Ruud versus Shung. Vekic, Stearns, Greek Sport, Dimitrov, Nakashima, Musetti. That's where you're going to be heading. Court Stadium 17. Nakashima, Musetti.
Well, Nakashima's had 2 straight sets
wins,
convincing victories. So I'm behind Team Brandon here. I'd like to see what he can do, how far he could go. But we'll see, because Musetti's obviously in good form.
Yeah. Although he got taken to, I think he's just come through a long 5 sets. So maybe there's an element of the freshness that could go in the favour of Nakashima. We shall see. But listeners, we're going to end our round 2 catch up of the US Open there. I hope you've enjoyed our latest episode of the Tennis Weekly podcast. Remember to subscribe to us to stay up to date on all the action to come over the next couple of weeks from Flushing Meadows. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all major podcasting platforms out there. And if you like what you're hearing, then make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Plus, like and subscribe to us on YouTube and hit that notification bell.
You can also follow us on social media or email the show. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Our handle is @TennisWeeklyPod. You can also purchase Tennis Weekly merchandise at etsy.com/shop/tennisweeklypodcast or email the show tennisweeklypod@gmail.com. And do check out our website as well, tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we will be back on Saturday at Tennis Weekly HQ for our round 3 catch-up of the US Open, brought to you by Fungiball. So I hope you can join us for that. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. We'll see you again soon.